What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What are your thoughts about that Royal Rumble? I thought it was a great show. Thought we had a great show tonight. Gonna get started in a few minutes once we get some people in here. Wild show, man. A lot of unpredictability to a point, at least in the men's Rumble. Amazing show, though. A lot of physicality in both of those title matches tonight. Those were the only two matches I got right. The title matches, the men's and women's Rumble. I had Punk. I had Io. Thought the likelihood of Punk winning was pretty good. Like a lot of people thought Cena might even win. Shout out to main event Jey Uso, though. Lives up to his name. He's main event Jey Uso going on to WrestleMania. He said he wants Gunther. And John Cena in the interview, post-show, declared that he's going to enter into the Elimination Chamber come next month, March 1st in Toronto. And so he said he's going to go and get his title opportunity at WrestleMania. And he said he's going to win number 17. So, Miss J, what is going on? 7 out of 10, says Miss J. Okay. I'm going to be a little more generous. I am really going to put this in the 8.5, damn near 9 category. I say it's somewhere between an 8.5, 9. To me, it was definitely a top 5 Royal Rumble overall. Both of the Royal Rumble matches were fantastically done. Regardless, a lot of you may not have liked the outcomes with the winners of each match. Maybe the women's more so than the men's. But a great show, man. Great show. I can't say enough good things about it. Yeah, I hear you, Rachel. A lot of story with a lot of big names too. Seth, Roman, Punk, etc. So, Jay picked Gunther. Yes, that he did. So, even though he flirted with the idea of, Cody sounding enticing too, we all know Jay is getting a rematch from last week. Just think, 1 week ago on Saturday night's main event, we had Jey Uso going up against Gunther. And most of us didn't think Jay was going to win, which he didn't. And I don't think many, unless you're like a big, true, through and through Jey Uso fan, I don't think many had Jey Uso winning tonight's Rumble for a lot of reasons. Whether you want to say it was time for CM Punk to finally win it, whether you thought this was a good way for Cena to start his farewell tour, who knows? Who else you may have picked. But I don't know. Good for Jey Uso, man. Good for Jey Uso. Declan Kirby, what is going on? Charles, sorry to hear about that, man. Rachel, 9. Yeah, Rachel, I give it a 9 or so. Just don't know if Jay should have won and not so much going on with the women. Yeah, so, we'll see what happens with Jey Uso. I mean, one thing we know for sure, that guy, Jey Uso, whether we think he deserves the world title or not, or a world title match at Mania, one thing I can say is that guy has momentum, without question. And the company trusts him. The women was a great match. We're gonna break down everything in a little bit. You see what happened to my man? I just wanted to... Yeah, Rachel, yeah, Roman Reigns was dealt with quite a bit. Only surprise was Alexa. Yeah, Alexa Bliss, Trish Stratus was a bit of a surprise as well. Nikki Bella to a point. Even if we expected it, nothing was confirmed. Alexa Bliss. Again, we got Nikki Bella, Trish Stratus. Of course, I, like many, wanted to see AJ Lee. We didn't get Becky Lynch. We didn't get Jade Cargill for those that cared to see her. Maybe find out who attacked her, right? So we soon shall see what happens. Seth did target Reigns. Yeah, they were pushing quite a few younger guys there. No AJ Lee was a big, unfortunate, thing. Me being a guy from Jersey, and forget being from Jersey, I like AJ Lee regardless where she's from. I'm from. It would have been nice to see her. So Nikki Bella coming in at 30, I think took a little bit away from Nikki Bella because even though there's a lot of Bella fans out there, a lot of people want to see AJ Lee. And obviously when that 30 spots left, you can't help but wonder who's it going to be. And so for the men's, I want to say the last 7 or 8 people that came out in the men's Rumble were all confirmed entrants. I honestly, it slipped my mind. I forgot Logan Paul, right? I forgot about him. And so when he wasn't even in the match, and then at 30, he came out, I was like, oh yeah, of course. Even LA Knight at 29, I believe. So a couple other names I would have liked to see as well in the men's, but what are you going to do? You can't get everybody. Maybe we're going to get Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania. Yeah, the possibilities are there, Rachel. Who knows what's going to happen with CM Punk now? Will Cena win the chamber? He's already declared at the press conference after the show. Solo and Tama. Yeah, no, Solo and Tama. I figured Solo's going to be off TV for a little bit, Miss J. He had left a week or two ago on SmackDown when he didn't have anything to say. Would have been nice to see Tama Tonga in there as well. Jacob Fatu, an absolute beast. Samoan werewolf in every which way. Again, I like the tease again with him and Braun Breaker. the future of the company without question. Jacob and Braun Breaker, both future champions, world title, WWE title, whatever you want to call it. They'll definitely be running each brand, whether that's a Raw or SmackDown, in the future. Let's see here. Punk looked suspicious when he looked at Paul. Yeah, I got that vibe too as well, Miss J. Very curious going forward, what's going to happen with Punk and Paul Heyman's relationship. That favor that Heyman owes Punk for joining Roman's team at War Games. I did not expect Strowman to be back either this early, Wiccan. That was one of the things I said in my preview, that I didn't think we were going to get him because Jacob just took him out a week ago. And so as soon as he entered in the fray, I said, okay, that's going to be the guy who eliminates Jacob at 2. And lo and behold, that's what happened. So, yeah, Ludwig beat Santino's record. Is that official, Miss J? That was unfortunate. His significant other is out here as the women's champion on SmackDown, and he's couldn't even get in between the ring ropes for the Royal Rumble. So, yeah, Punk did look suspicious, Rachel. So, look, guys, we're gonna go, briefly through the Women's Rumble and move forward with this. Io Sky, that was somebody I was hoping would have won this match. Obviously, her coming out at number 1 wasn't a good start for those that wanted Io Sky. Great to see her. Her and Liv Morgan were 1 and 2. Now, look, Rhea did win the Women's Royal Rumble 2 years ago in 2023 from the number 1 spot. I think she was in there 1 hour, 1 minute and change. So, look, it could be done. You can win from the 1 spot. It has been done before. But I don't know. I didn't think 2 out of the last 3 years they're going to have somebody win from number 1 with Io. So, that being said, she lasted quite a bit. I think Liv Morgan, was she the Iron Woman of this match? It was either Liv Morgan at 2 or Roxanne at 3. I know for a fact that Liv Morgan was in there 1 hour, 7 minutes. So I don't know. Roxanne may have slightly surpassed that. Roxanne was impressive. She made it down, to the final 2, her and Charlotte Flair. That was cool. She came in at number 3. And I like how they did a numbers thing tonight, right? Roxanne Perez, this was her 3rd consecutive year in the Rumble, comes out at number 3. John Cena, 23 years with the company, comes out at number 23. So all those things are very cool. Let's see. I'm calling it Cena, Roman, Punk, Drew, Seth at Chamber. That would be some match, Miss J. Roman, Punk, Drew. Yeah, that would be very good. Rachel's saying that she thinks Roman will be in the Chamber, but then Punk will tell Heyman, pull him out. Yeah, I mean, he does own that favor. So regardless what this favor is for Punk by Paul Heyman, there will be funny business involved. And we all know it's coming. Yeah, Liv was number 2 tonight. That's correct. Yeah. Io Sky was 1, Liv was 2. But who was the Iron Woman? I mean, Liv had 1 hour, 7 minutes. Roxanne surpassed that, I assume, being that she was number 3 and in there to the bitter end with Charlotte. I'm assuming she was in there slightly longer. So Roxanne, I'm assuming, did have the Iron Woman record, whatever that was, Always great to see Trish. You're right, Wiccan. She looked fantastic. I didn't necessarily have her in this Rumble because they're not bringing back many legends these days for the men or the women. Great to see Trish Stratus. I'm never opposed to that. She just keeps getting younger. Her and Mickie James, every time I see them, Mickie James was in the crowd tonight. Who else was there? There was a lot of stars that were actually in the crowd. They showed The Godfather, Mickie James early on, Kurt Angle, Stephen Amell, RVD, many others. So Trish Stratus. So let's go on with the list here. Io, Liv, Roxanne were the first 3. Lyra Valkyria. It was pretty funny how they put the back-to-back at 4 and 5. They had the new champions, right? They had the Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria. 5, they had Chelsea Green. B-Fab, again, this was her 2nd Rumble, coming in at 6. Good for her. I didn't necessarily have her in this Rumble because, again, there's just so much talent on both sides for the men and the women that I just didn't think they were going to find a place for her, to be honest with you. Even though I do think she's steadily improving, I like the alliance that her and Mishin have on SmackDown. I think it's good for both of them, realistically. Rachel says I had to look away when Rollins was, yeah, for sure. Yeah, good to see Julia as well, Wiccan. Great to see Julia. I didn't necessarily think we'd see her either. There's a lot of NXT women on this Women's Rumble. And I don't know, was there any, not that I could recall, were there any men from NXT in this Rumble? Maybe 1 at most. We didn't get Trick Williams. We didn't get Obafemi. Maybe we didn't get any. Certainly not Tony D, the North American champion. Would have been great to see any of them, realistically. So moving forward here, we got to number 7, Ivy Nile. Then we got Zoe Stark at number 8. Great to see Lash Legend, who I had in this Rumble. Another NXT person coming up here. Roxanne. Roxanne is the only woman we saw from NXT tonight that is essentially here to stay. Maybe not immediately. She has her match at NXT Vengeance Day in a couple weeks' time for the NXT title, I believe, against Julia Bailey, it's a triple threat. They may add Cora Jade in a fatal four-way. Either or, Roxanne ain't winning. Julia's going to retain. And I think after that match, Roxanne will then probably make her way to Monday Night Raw. So Roxanne looked great, though. I liked what we saw from her. Lash Legend looked good. She did her thing out there. Bianca Belair came in at number 10. She was in there quite a while. Shayna Baszler, 11. Bayley, 12, last year's winner. Sonya Deville, another member of the Pure Fusion Collective. She was in there. Like Zoe was there at 8. Sonya came in at 13. Now, Maxine Dupree, good to see her. I believe she was in the Rumble last year as well. They gave her a couple opportunities in this match that I love to see, which we'll talk about in a minute. Calvin, what's going on, my friend? How are we? Maxine Dupree is really coming into her own. She is definitely improving, Wiccan. You know, I know it's a slippery slope with her, but she is improving. You could tell her level of comfortability is getting there, you know, so to speak. So good for her. Reminds me a lot in a much different way, like how every time we saw like a Lana get out there, we're like, hey, you know, it's nice to see Lana improve. She's not necessarily ever really taken serious as a contender or a threat to any title, just like Maxine, but it is nice to see the incremental improvements and people supporting her and all that stuff. So main event Jey Uso, yes, sure did, Calvin. Calvin says your predictions came true. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, John Cena, it would have been nice to see him win tonight, but I kind of like the struggle angle. Got, you know, down the business in the post show and said, look, I'm coming into the Elimination Chamber in a month's time in Toronto, and I'm gonna win, and I'm going to main event at WrestleMania one of the nights for a title, get the number 17. So before I go on to numbers 15, well, I'll get halfway there. 15 was Naomi. So you had Bianca and Naomi at 10 and 15, the women's tag team champions, helping one another out for quite a while throughout this match, which I thought was great. Love the ring gear from both of them too. Naomi with the typical glow gear that she's worn over the years, amazing ring gear for sure. And so they were helping take care of business for a while. But earlier on in this match, I loved that we saw Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green have a brief moment. Remember, they were the tag team champions for a little bit till Sonya went out with the injury. Insert Piper Niven. The rest is history. The last 2 years, they had a brief handshake in the middle of the ring, reuniting. Then Sonya took out Chelsea Green, which I thought was cool. She didn't eliminate her there, but it took her down. Which also was cool. We saw the Pure Fusion Collective versus Bayley, Bianca, and Io at one point. I loved everything about that. When a lot of these women would square off throughout different points of the match, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the review. We even got to see the current main roster women square off with the future, the NXT women, which was awesome. Maxine Dupree, let's talk about her reverse caterpillar, right? Again, she's getting just as entertaining as she's improving with her wrestling ability too. She's actually, if she can look good while entertained, then we'll let a lot of that stuff slide if she's not the best wrestler out there, right? And I believe she eliminated Ivy Nile, Maxine, but then the Pure Fusion Collective immediately eliminated Maxine Dupree. At least she was able to get an elimination against her former good friend Ivy Nile, American Maids. Let's talk about, you know, we'll talk about Jordan Grace in a minute, but let's talk about Jada Parker, another NXT girl making her way to her first Royal Rumble. Good for her. She did her thing for quite a bit. Piper Niven came in at 17. Natalya and Liv Morgan, the only two women to be in all 8 women's Royal Rumbles. Good for her. I believe, was she eliminated by Liv, I believe, at some point in time? But good for her. Speaking of Liv, right? We also had Michin coming in after her at number 20, and that would take us to our last 10. Let me see a few questions. All right, let me see here. Give me 1 second, guys. Get to a few comments. Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns was cool. Yeah, that was cool. Chelsea getting eliminated by Piper Niven. Yeah, maybe we'll see what happens with that, Wiccan. You know, some cracks in the foundation, right? With them eventually. You know, it's too good to be true. She's not going to be her Secret Service forever. I even flirted with the idea of having Piper Niven be the one who eventually takes that U.S. title off Chelsea, if not Michin or somebody else. I even wouldn't mind seeing Zelina Vega in that title picture now that she's made her way to Friday Night SmackDown. So that could be fun. If they don't give KO a title by next year, I'm probably going to be done with WWE and go to TNA. Really? Big KO fan? I mean, look, I like KO too. He's now 0-6 at the Royal Rumble, I believe, in singles action. Half of those came out the hands of Roman Reigns over the last several years. It is what it is. I mean, there's so few matches on the Royal Rumble. It is an honor to be on that show in any capacity, especially for a main title. But at the same time, you eventually want to win. So I get that. Let's jump to the second half of this, or the last 10 rather. The last 10 women. Again, Jordan Grace came in at number 19. huge pop, biggest reception of the Women's Rumble by far, going into these first 20 or so. Jordan Grace, now a member of the WWE roster. This time last year, she came in as the TNA Knockouts champion, and now she comes in as a full-fledged member of the WWE roster. And like I mentioned the other day to some of you, I forget if it was on here or TikTok, but where would you put Jordan Grace? Would you put her on Raw or SmackDown? Would you have her go to NXT? Because she's bounced back and forth on there too. Personally, there's a lot of talent she can mix it up with on NXT, and there's some titles for her to get after. But honestly, she's just so ready right now and hungry. I think that's a big word to use. Jordan Grace is just so hungry. She looks great. I would put Jordan Grace on Raw or SmackDown. I'll be honest. Even if she's not going for main title gold right away, which you could justify as well. Even if you have her just outright have her come to SmackDown and defeat Chelsea Green, I wouldn't even be opposed to that. And just being that U.S. champion for a while, I would like that. I would really like that. And I think Jordan Grace, if they do push her in the mid card initially on the main roster, you could see her with singles gold by WrestleMania easily, easily. So that could be fun. What does YTC mean? I believe it means your tribal chief. Yeah, KO says he doesn't care about championships. All right, well, if that's how he really feels, or whether that's in a kayfabe purpose or sense, who knows? Technically speaking, it is a business, right? All of this is predetermined. All of this is orchestrated. We're all adults, I would assume. We all know how this works. So from that standpoint, I get it. That KO may say, hey, look, I may not be all about titles or care about titles, but at the same time, would he be opposed to being a 10-time world champion right now? I don't think so. So Bianca wasn't too happy with Naomi hugging Grace. I thought that was a great moment, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, Wiccan. I love that they did the callback to last year when, you got to remember, at the Hard to Kill pay-per-view in TNA, when Jordan Grace had just dethroned Trinity a couple of weeks prior to the Rumble, and then Jordan Grace showed up, and that was Naomi's return to the company last year, that they had that moment where they embraced in the ring last year, and they did it again this year, which I thought was cool. And then Bianca's like, hold up, keep your eyes on the prize. This is every woman for themselves. We could do this stuff later. You could go out for dinner, drinks, go have breakfast later tomorrow. Right now, we have a Rumble to win, one of us. So I like that. I like that we got both of it. We got the embrace, the hug, and then we got Bianca snapping Naomi back into it. Like, girl, we got business to handle. So that was fun. So that was cool. I'm happy we got to see Nikki Bella, says Calvin. Yeah, great seeing Nikki Bella, man. I mean, again, I would have put her slightly earlier in, somewhere between 25 and 28 at latest. I wouldn't have had her come in at 30 just because she's been away for a few years. And a lot of people were very much so hoping at that number 30 spot, that final spot, that we were going to get someone of the likes of AJ Lee. So myself included. So seeing Nikki Bella, was it disappointing? No, but were we disappointed that it wasn't AJ Lee? I think a lot of us were. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? So 21, speaking of returns, Alexa Bliss returned, which was a big one. A lot of people were excited to see her back. Good for Alexa Bliss. After that, we got to see Zelina Vega make her way out at 22, Candice LeRae at 23, which I was surprised to hear, but I shouldn't have been surprised because I do know she's been in the Rumble quite a bit. And Candice LeRae, this was her 5th Rumble already. So that's that. 24, another NXT superstar. This was number 4 or 5 already making their way to the Rumble. Stephanie Vaquer, soon to be the next North American champion when she defeats Fallon Henley at Vengeance Day, I assume. Stephanie Vaquer, obviously she fits on the main roster just like a Julia would right now, or a Jordan Grace for certain. So, and Roxanne Perez. That's why they basically had Roxanne go down to the bitter end in a position that Liv Morgan's typically in, right down to the final 2. So you could see the trajectory of Roxanne Perez. If you didn't take her serious last year, being an NXT champion for 9 months, then you got to believe that her being down to the final 2 and being eliminated by Charlotte Flair in the Royal Rumble tonight, that they got lofty expectations for Roxanne Perez. So again, that's somebody that I could easily see, flirting in the mid card initially, but then sooner than later, at latest this time next year, being in the world title picture, perhaps for the women in 2026. But I would not be surprised if Roxanne wins an IC or a US title this year, maybe even dethroning a Lyra at Mania if we don't get Becky versus Lyra, depending upon when Becky Lynch returns. So we'll see what happens as far as that's concerned. Who do you think main event Jey Uso is going for at WrestleMania? Well, I know he uttered that he wants to get another crack at Gunther, so he's definitely going to go after the ring general, without question. Could he go up against Cody in a fun type of thing? Sure. Do I think it's more likely to see a John Cena versus Cody? Yes. So I don't think, but I know that we're going to get Jey Uso, Gunther. And maybe Jey Uso gets it done. Maybe maybe Gunther loses back-to-back WrestleManias, dropping a title. We'll see. So I think regardless how good of a title reign Gunther was going to have with this world title, it's going to always pale in comparison to what he did with the Intercontinental Championship, holding it almost 700 days and stuff like that. So, and the way he was just beating people, just making his way to the main roster in 2022, starting with Ricochet and dethroning him, taking out a list of victims, a long list of victims after that. I don't think he's ever going to really, at least this reign, get as to have good of a point as he did with the IC title, but we'll see. We'll see. Roxanne is a Punk protege. Sure, sure. Yeah, he did say Gunther, but you never know, Rachel. Things could change, but I don't anticipate them changing at all. We're going to get Jay Gunther because he wants that rematch again. Last Saturday at Saturday Night's Main Event, he lost to Gunther. He's still got a sour taste in his mouth, so that's an obvious scenario. 25, Trish Stratus is back, even though she was eliminated by Nia Jax. Nia eliminated quite a few. We would have excuse me, another ally in the Judgment Day. We would have Raquel Rodriguez make her way out of 26 to help her buddy old pal Liv Morgan. We would then have the long-awaited return, which we got vignettes for the last 3, maybe 4 weeks, of the Queen, Charlotte Flair, who's been out since December of 2023 with a torn ACL. Charlotte Flair made her way out, even got pyro. I said it in my notes. I'd written it down. And then a moment later, Wade Barrett even said, wow, Charlotte Flair got pyro. I think the only other person who got pyro tonight, barring Jey Uso winning, obviously, the Rumble, as far as an entrance is concerned, I believe Roman Reigns got pyro. I don't know. I'm talking about the Rumble match. I'm not talking about Cody or anything like that. But the Rumble match itself, Charlotte got pyro, Roman got pyro. And so you see where those kinds of people rank. You get pyro in your Royal Rumble entrance, you're a big deal. You're doing pretty good. So Charlotte Flair was 27. Julia, the NXT Women's Champion, 28. Nia Jax, 29 and 30. We were all wondering, who could it be? Is it going to be Nikki Bella? Is it going to be Jade Cargill? Is it going to be Becky Lynch? I was kind of leaning at Becky Lynch at that point as we were nearing closer. I wasn't even necessarily expecting an AJ Lee, which we didn't get. But it wasn't Becky, it wasn't AJ Lee, it wasn't Jade Cargill. It was none other than one half of You Can Look But You Can't Touch. As the song says, we got Nikki Bella back in WWE. Good for her. We'll see what happens with her going forward. So we'll see. AJ got pyro. Okay. AJ Styles got pyro. Good, good. Yeah, speaking of which, we'll get to that men's Rumble. Thank you for the fact checking. What would I do without you? AJ Styles, good to see him back, man. I didn't think we were going to necessarily get him back yet either. I figured he was still on the trajectory, like dragging off, still rehabilitating, but eventually, sooner or later making their way back. Late winter, early spring, possibly road to WrestleMania. Great to see Styles. What's even better than pyro, though, is the fact that AJ Styles got his old theme song back. So thank God. We had been dealing with that new one, I think, since WrestleMania 40 when he fought LA Knight, which ironically enough, didn't AJ eliminate LA Knight or vice versa? If my notes serve me correct. Let's see. AJ Styles, where are we at here? If I could find my notes, that'd be great. Yeah, I believe Styles had eliminated LA Knight, but either or, that's not important. Yeah, I was shocked to see him. I was shocked to see AJ Styles, but hey, I'll take it. I love seeing Styles. And it was such a star-studded Rumble, and especially AJ Styles making his debut in WWE 9 years ago, 2016 Royal Rumble, coming back in the old school, vintage, original blue getup that he was wearing. I liked it. We got the theme song back. We got the all blue back. It was almost like kind of a reset for AJ Styles, regardless if he's babyface or heel. To me, that doesn't matter. He looks like he's in great shape. And hopefully this time around, unlike when he came back a few months ago and got hurt during the, the Austin Theory match or the Mello match? I forget which one it was. I think it might have been Mello. I forget. But good to see Styles back. And hopefully they have something for him on the road to WrestleMania. So I'm excited for that. That was funny what Biggie did with the Kofi Kingston card. Yes, that it was. AJ's best theme song was in TNA, Lone Wolf gimmick. Okay, very cool, Wicked. So yeah, let's finish up with the Women's Rumble here, and then we will move forward with the rest of the night that we got to see. So yeah, 30 was Nikki Bella. It was a very enjoyable match. Let's talk about, again, Jordynne Grace got a huge pop. How about Jordynne Grace with the Death Valley driver? That was from Jordynne Grace to Piper Niven. That was outrageous. What else do we see? I love seeing a little bit of Julia versus Io. We got early on when Julia first got in the ring. Outside of that, I loved when we saw that face off, them squaring off, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, with the future NXT women with the current WWE roster main women. You had Julia, Stephanie, Roxanne going up against Charlotte, Bianca, and Bailey. I thought that was really great. I thought that was fantastic. Two-fourths of the four horsewomen, right? And Bailey and Charlotte. Obviously, Becky wasn't there, and Sasha or Mercedes is in AEW, so you can't have all four. But that was cool to see. And Bianca's the next best thing to have in that conversation of top tier on the main roster, outside of like Rhea, who's obviously a champion right now. So this was enjoyable, man. I thought this was a very good, again, collectively great show, but this women's rumble was a lot of fun. Some may call it predictable because Charlotte was the one who won at the end of the day, but I thought the match, it was very enjoyable, to be honest. Now, Charlotte, Nia, and Roxanne were the final three. They ended up eliminating Bailey and Nikki Bella was 4-5. They were the last couple left. It ended up coming down to Charlotte and Roxanne Perez. Charlotte got the victory. She becomes the first ever two-time Royal Rumble winner. There was a lot of rumblings the past week that it could be Charlotte, it could be Bianca, maybe Bianca and Rhea are in the plans. Again, we'll see what happens with the women. Bianca could go on to win the Elimination Chamber and still go after a Rhea Ripley or something like that, because Charlotte is very likely. Just like Jay's going after Gunther, Charlotte's going to go after Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown. So again, Charlotte reestablishing her dominance. Big boot to Roxanne Perez, and that's that. So this was a lot of fun. The Queen does it again. Pyro from start to finish. She got pyro at the end of the show, deservedly so. Hey, you know what? Say what you want about Charlotte. I get it. Sometimes she's a little too much. Not her, but just the way she's promoted. I feel like there's no middle ground. It's either you love Charlotte or you really don't like her. So I was glad to see her back. Again, that's not who I was pulling for, but much respect to the Queen, Charlotte Flair, and who knows? I would love to see Tiffany Stratton hold that championship beyond WrestleMania. But if Charlotte Flair is coming her way for that number 15, and she has been out of WWE for over a year, odds are it's not looking pretty good for one Tiffany Stratton. Now, look, we could get Charlotte versus Rhea Part 3 at WrestleMania, which also intrigues me a little bit too. WrestleMania 36, Charlotte defeated Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. WrestleMania 39, I believe it was Rhea defeating Charlotte. Well, for what was it? The SmackDown Women's Championship. And so a Part 3 at WrestleMania 41 for the Women's World Championship is intriguing. It really is. But the problem is kind of sort of, it seems like Charlotte's running babyface, even though she could turn heel at the snap of a finger. Obviously, it's just ingrained in Charlotte to be a heel whenever need be, just as it is for Rhea. But Rhea's been playing babyface, so again, it seemed like it would be babyface. But all that aside, we're going to get Tiffany and Charlotte like we're going to get Jay and Gunther. So we're going to move on now in just a minute to match number 2, which was the Tag Team Championship match between DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns. Again, this match, incredibly physical, as was Cody and KO, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Get to a few comments here. What number did Charlotte come out at? Charlotte Flair, she had come out at 27. Charlotte came out at number 27. Nikki and Roxanne face-off was cool. That it was. I was really hoping for Roxanne Perez, too, who dressed as AJ Lee, maybe 10, 12 years ago for Halloween. Look, Roxanne had a lot of cool moments, whether it was with Nikki or Charlotte or whatnot, but I would have liked that for Roxanne to have that Rumble opportunity, squaring off with an AJ Lee. That would have been cool. The stare down between Bailey and Io as well. Yes, that was good as well. Little Damage Control callback to WrestleMania 40 when Bailey dethroned Io Sky for that Women's Championship. Calvin asks, do you think we'll ever see Cody Rhodes turn heel? Because it seemed like the crowd is starting to chant more KO. Yeah, a lot of people are feeling bad for KO in the sense that he's, again, not just not winning at the Rumble for a title, but he's just never getting that actual push in the sense of getting that victory when it comes to the big ones. So could Cody turn heel? Is it a possibility? Sure. Nothing's not in the realm of possibility in pro wrestling, but do I see it happening in 2025? No. Maybe next year. Maybe Rox will win next year. Rachel, the possibility is certainly there. Roxanne, one thing we found out about Roxanne Perez, especially tonight, is regardless if she ever goes on to win a Royal Rumble or not, that she will be a world champion or a WWE Women's Champion at some point in her career, likely within the next 2 to 3 years at latest. Because like Liv Morgan's never won a Rumble, right? She was the first one to be eliminated in 2019. Ends up coming down to the final 2 in 23 and 24 with Rhea and Bailey. and then ends up, winning Money in the Bank in 2022. That night cashes in on Ronda Rousey, holds the title for a cup of coffee, a couple months. Ends up holding the title for what, 7, 8 months in 2024, Women's World Champion. So Liv has accomplished a lot, even without a Rumble win, but she's been very close to it. And much like Roxanne, she made it down to the final two like Liv has in the past. And again, it does not matter if Roxanne wins a Rumble or not. It's always good to get a shot at the biggest stage, WrestleMania, for a title, but there's many other opportunities too. There's Money in the Bank. You could call an early odds-on favorite for Money in the Bank this year to be Roxanne Perez. Just like Tiffany Stratton, she didn't go on to win the Rumble last year in her debut in the Rumble. She did not go on to win the Elimination Chamber the next month in Australia. She went on to push over Chelsea Green, who went through a table, right? At least Chelsea has a title now, U.S. title. Tiffany Stratton, no, went on to win that Money in the Bank briefcase and then cashed in on Nia on January 3rd episode of SmackDown to become champion. So let's see here. Charlotte Flair needs to go after Rhea. I'm not opposed to that, Calvin. I do think we get Tiffany Charlotte, though. If I'm a betting man, I definitely see that happening. But I am not opposed to a part 3 between the two either. Their match, 36 was cool during COVID. 39 was very good from what I recall. WrestleMania 39. So still no Orton. Great point, Rachel. Surprising ending. Very, very, very surprising ending. Craziness. So let's get to that tag team match, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight on this Royal Rumble 2025 review, the first PLE for WWE. It's weird, even though it was on the 1st of February, it was still weird not having the Rumble in January technically, but we get another one, March 1st. We got Elimination Chamber coming from Toronto, Canada. Cena said in the press conference, he says, look, I'm going back to Hungary after this, and I'm going to go film. I believe he's shooting a movie over there, but he says, you better believe I will be in the Elimination Chamber next month, March 1st, in Toronto. We'll find out who his other 5 opponents are in the interim in the next month. And he says, 23 years in this business. I'm coming for that number 17 championship. I will main event WrestleMania in some capacity and get that title. So we'll see. Likely he would be going up against Cody, presumably, because it looks like Jay and Gunther are going to be going at it. It looks like Jay wants another crack at Gunther. So we would get Cena Cody. And my question to you guys is, if we get Cody and Cena, right, 2 pretty good 4-letter C words, who would you give the win to? Would you have Cody retain and surpass his 1 year as champion at Mania, as he won it last year, WrestleMania 40? Or would you have John Cena win number 17 there at WrestleMania 41 in Vegas? And could that be the beginning of maybe Cody, all this feel-good stuff? Maybe Cody feels the type of way. Could this be the beginning of an eventual heel turn for Cody, which I would love? I know that may be far-fetched coming out of the whole John Cena bit. Maybe he feels bitter or overshadowed, but we'll see. Do you think Cena dethrones Cody at WrestleMania 17? WrestleMania 17, God forgive me. WrestleMania 41, going for 17. If Cena goes on and wins the Chamber next month, what do you guys think? I mean, that KO did not win the championship. I think KO with better TNA. Yeah, hey, look, Calvin, don't lose hope, man. I know it's been a long road. If you're a Kevin Owens fan, he hasn't held a major title since, God, how many years has it been? 8 years. 8 years to the month when he lost to Goldberg, which thankfully we didn't see Goldberg in this Rumble. I was hoping we didn't see him, and we didn't. KO lost to Goldberg at Fastlane 2017 when he lost his Universal Championship to Goldberg. Excuse me, Bill Goldberg. So yeah, KO is due. KO is due for a world title or a major title. But every time he goes up against somebody, whether it's Roman, whether it's Cody, it doesn't work out in his favor. Babyface, heel, it doesn't matter. He just hasn't gotten it done. We didn't see Rock tonight. A lot of us talked about the flirting of the idea of The Rock coming out at number 31 as the final boss, right? How fun would that be? I would have loved to see that because A, I don't think The Rock would have won it. And B, I think it would have been fun if he would have been able to lean into that character again and get back on track, that final boss heel thing after doing all that babyface work with the Raw on Netflix January 6th and being on NXT January 7th the next night, being very PR and very, just professional, but seeming like he was a good guy again. And it felt a little weird. We all agreed that it was a little weird, but we understood it. So it would have been nice to see The Rock lean into that. But that just goes to show me, final confirmation, not seeing The Rock at this Rumble in any capacity, that even if The Rock is in attendance at WrestleMania 41, it will not be in a wrestling capacity, right? Certainly not for a title, but definitely not wrestling in any way, shape, or form. So Rachel says, you think John Cena would win against Cody if given the opportunity. Wiccan says, Rhodes, you would have Orton interfere at WrestleMania 41 in the Cena match. Okay. Rachel says, I could see Cena doing it. He deserves it. That was crazy. That standout between Roman and Cena. Yes, it was. I was also a big fan. And we'll talk about the Men's Rumble in a little bit. I'm just going to wrap up this tag match once I actually get into it. I loved Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu having that face-off. That was great. Jacob Fatu is top tier, next level, must-see TV. Like Big E said at the post-show, he said Jacob Fatu was must-see TV prior to him getting a microphone in his hand 3-4 weeks ago. Now that Jacob Fatu is actually able to go out and speak without Solo Sikoa, he's an absolute menace, and I love everything about it. I'm a big babyface guy. It's been well documented. If you've been with me on these lives on YouTube, on TikTok the last 6-7 months, I'm a big babyface guy, always have been my whole life. But that's not to say I don't appreciate a good heel when I see one, whether it's Gunther, whether it's Jacob Fatu, so on and so forth. So Punk versus Cena, okay. I was thinking once it comes down to Cena and Jay, I was waiting for the final boss. That would have been fun, Rachel. That would have been fun. That would have been very interesting. Wigan says, now the Fatu and Breaker stare off. Yeah, Fatu Breaker was great as well. Fatu Breaker was great. You know, the reason I think it was more important for me to see Roman and Jacob Fatu is with all the bloodline goings on, right? We all know Jacob and Breaker is going to be not just a phenomenal match whenever that happens, but they are literally the future. They're going to dominate the division, and I could see them leading separate brands going forward for years to come as world champions or the champions. So that goes without saying. That goes without saying. So let's discuss a little bit about this tag match. If I could get to my notes, that would be great. So let's see here. So we get to this tag team match. DIY going up against Motor City Machine Guns. Now, DIY, they got the first fall. Motor City Machine Guns, they got the second fall. And the third fall, well, DIY was able to retain their titles. That's because we see somebody come up on the apron in a black hoodie, wondering who it could be. And the referee is now distracted. It's none other than Montez Ford of the Street Profits. We haven't seen them in a couple of weeks at least. Then on the opposite side, we see Angelo Dawkins also in a similar getup. And I forget who he hit. It was either Sabin or Shelley. I think it was Sabin. Cracks him in the back with a, what did he hit him? With a crutch. I believe he hit him with a crutch. And this all led to DIY getting the victory. Now, this was a very physical match. It looked like Johnny Gargano at one point lost some teeth. His mouth was bleeding profusely, bloodied, battered, swollen lip. Tommaso Ciampa at the end of this match, his face was cut open. He looked like a hot mess, split open, bleeding. So this was a very physical match. Motor City may have not gotten the win, but they absolutely left their mark. They left their impression felt. So I don't know. I think maybe the Street Profits are going to be the ones to eventually dethrone DIY. They even took it to DIY after the match. They didn't just beat up on Motor City. They beat up them too. They're coming for that whole SmackDown tag team division. I mean, they went on record months ago saying they haven't won tag gold in the better part of about 4 years. Now, soon to be going on 5, which is crazy. I forget that the Street Profits, when they first came to the main roster, they pretty much won gold almost instantly. Once, twice, maybe even 3 times, whether it was Raw, SmackDown, etc. So they're due, and they're coming for what's theirs, regardless. So full-blown heels, I like it. They need identity. Seemingly, they're on their own now, just the two of them, which is cool. Looks like they're no longer aligned with B-Fab. B-Fab looks to be doing her thing alongside Mishin, which I think is a good idea. Keep her baby face. Let her get down with the crowd. B-Fab, she showed out pretty good in the Women's Rumble as well tonight, so she's getting there as well. But I like what we saw from the Street Profits, definitive heels, and I'm enjoying what we're seeing here. Calvin says, I was hoping Drew McIntyre would have won. Yeah, I actually had Drew McIntyre on my Final Four tonight, believe it or not. I did not think he was going to win. It looked like, did Drew get a haircut? Did Drew get a haircut, and did he even, dare I say, did he even straighten his hair? Because he looked different tonight. There was something different. Hope Cena beats hell out of Cody Rhodes at Mania 41. Okay. Heard that Drew, you heard that Drew blew up backstage. What did you hear about Drew, Rachel? Please elaborate on that. Calvin says, I'm not losing hope. I'm starting to get, I want to see how Street Profits do as a heel tag team. Yeah, I think Wiccan, look, I think we could get a phenomenal push here with the Street Profits if done correctly, even before they go on and win those tag titles, inevitably so. So I can honestly say I am very much looking forward to a hungry, pissed off, upset Street Profits that think, and they're right, they do deserve more, especially a lengthy tag title reign. Hopefully they have a big time title match at Mania. I could see Street Profits and Motor City going at it for the tag titles at Mania, regardless who wins. I think that would be a lot of fun. You know, a lot of times at Mania, you see a multi-team match. They want to incorporate as many teams as they can, whether it's 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams. Sure, if it calls for it. But if it's just a straight up blood feud between Motor City and Street Profits, I mean, if you still want to incorporate DIY, if they're still in the mix as well going forward, we'll see. There's a lot of tag teams on SmackDown I'd like to see them do more with. Los Garza, obviously, they haven't seen any gold anywhere anytime soon. Pretty Deadly, living up to their name. That's pretty much how they've been booked. So we'll see. A lot of people thought Pretty Deadly was going to interfere tonight and cost DIY their titles, especially after the encounter they had last night backstage following their 8-man tag team match on SmackDown. So we soon shall see, shall I say. So we're 2 matches in at this point. We are then going to the ladder match for the Undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes going up against Kevin Owens. I want to take this time, guys. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. On the road to 700 subscribers here. Appreciate you. And going to build up this platform just like we've done with TikTok and Instagram as well. So hit that subscribe button. Follow me here. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you for contributing to the content in the comments and my daily uploads too. You know, if you haven't checked out my long form, short form content after this, feel free to go on, comment. I usually respond to all of you guys on here, on TikTok, on IG, any platform that I'm pretty relatively busy on. So let's see. Do you believe that KO will win a title? I hope so, Calvin. We'll see, man. Something about the way he was eliminated. I guess you didn't read it all. Okay, Rachel. Yeah, I'm gonna look into the whole Drew McIntyre thing when I get off of here. DIY did retain. They did retain their tag titles as expected. So, like I said, this was the first time in 5 years I didn't get the correct woman for the women's winner, shall I say, for the Women's Rumble. I was a little upset at that. Although going into it, I can't say I was as confident as I was the last 4 years. You know, when I went on and picked Bianca and Ronda and Rhea and Bayley, I was very confident. Wasn't totally sure, but this year I went with Io. You know, even though I was leaning towards, you know, a lot of people were swaying towards Bianca or Charlotte becoming the first 2-time Rumble winner, which is Charlotte, obviously now. I was sticking with Io, and so it is what it is. The last couple years, I haven't gotten the men's right. You know, the last time I think I got the men's right was 22. I got Edge in 21, Brock in 22. And then after that, Cody totally changed everything because I had The Rock in 23. I thought The Rock was going to come back. Remember, WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood, where better to have Rock Roman, right? I thought The Rock was going to come back and win the Rumble in 23. It ended up being Cody. Last year, I thought it was going to be Punk. He made it to the final 2, but it was Cody back-to-back. The 4th person to ever go back-to-back with Hogan, Michaels, Austin, and Rhodes. And this year, I said, you know what? I think Punk's going to redeem himself and get it done. He's never won the Rumble. He's been very vocal about it the last couple of weeks or months about getting the job done finally and getting that title opportunity, especially due to the simple fact that, you know, he was robbed of that last year, getting injured at the Rumble by Drew McIntyre nonetheless, supposed to go on and face Seth Rollins in singles for that World Heavyweight Championship. Who knows if Punk would have won that title or not? I think he would have, but nonetheless, he at least would have finally, you know, punched that ticket to finally winning a Rumble, finally getting a WrestleMania main event, and now neither are on, you know, par for him right now. So I'm very interested about the Chamber. Somebody's going to be disappointed, whether it's John Cena, whether it's CM Punk. One of the two will go on and win the Chamber. Punk or Cena are the 2 favorites. As you could say, they were the favorites for tonight, pretty much. But somebody will advance. Will Punk finally get it done? Will Cena get to an opportunity, a crack at 17 after the Chamber? Yes, maybe one of them will, but one of them will also be disappointed. And I cannot wait to see how that's going to go. And whether it's Cena, whether it's Punk, and whoever doesn't make it to Mania in a title opportunity, I wonder what's going to be left for a Punk or a Cena going forward at WrestleMania 41. Do you believe the storytelling will get better with that tag team division? Thoughtful, are you talking mainly on Raw or SmackDown or just collectively? Hopefully, man. I'm really hoping things pick up on both shows. SmackDown especially, but yeah, Raw needs some improvement too. You know, War Raiders have the titles now. We'll see what's going to happen there. You know, Judgment Day, I fully anticipate seeing them split sooner than later with JD and Finn and see what's going on over on that side of things. But I hope so, man. One can only hope. Kevin Owens asserts the World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, Cal, we know. You're a big KO advocate, man. I'm pulling for you. I'm pulling for KO. But look, it's the type of situation where we shouldn't really hold our breath with KO winning a title anytime soon. As much as it may pain us to say that. We'll see. So let's go forward with Cody and KO. Pretty much, I mean, I could break this whole thing down. But let's talk about what really broke down. Their bodies. Cody was so beat up that he couldn't even make it to the press conference, rightfully so. It seemed like every other spot was on a ladder. Rightfully so, it's a ladder match. To the bitter end where Cody got the job done, putting KO through a ladder. Sami Zayn's, reaction to KO going through the ladder, seemingly hitting his head or neck on the ground. KO coming up with a completely gory, bloody, cut face, similar to Ciampa, but worse, and inevitably losing this match. Maybe one or two things. A, is KO okay? Because I see Nick Aldis, throw up the X, which means, serious injury. Now, you never know. Are they doing that in a kayfabe sense? You hope not. You would hope they wouldn't go to the well with that too often. If it is a serious injury, you would hope to take it into account as a serious injury. Who knows? Now, Sami Zayn, you wonder if he's going to go heel soon. He could feel some way about Cody Rhodes for doing this to his best friend. One thing about Sami Zayn, regardless how many times you turn on him, he's very loyal. He's loyal to a fault. Me and Sami Zayn, we have the same birthday. We're July 12th. We're Zodiacs are Cancer. Sometimes we're loyal to a fault, and it's not his fault. So does that mean he'll inevitably turn heel and want to challenge Cody? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Can Sami somehow get to Cody for a match at Elimination Chamber in his home country of Canada, much like he did 2 years ago at Chamber against Roman Reigns, right in Montreal, where he's actually from, Montreal, Quebec, I believe. Either or. We'll see what happens, but I could see Cody at Chamber if Cody does have a title match. Because Cody technically does not have an opponent yet, right? It looks like it's going to be Jay and Gunther, and so until somebody wins the Chamber that night, Cody could go on and defend the title against whomever he wants because he's not set out to have an opponent just yet. So let's see here. Alabama slam by Cody to KO through the ladder. That was wicked. That was wicked. And that for sure was nuts. It's so weird seeing Roman have to fight for his WrestleMania spot. It is very weird. As great as it was to see him come in at the number 16 spot tonight, Rachel, in the men's Rumble, it was weird seeing him in the Rumble, especially first time since 2020. Very, very weird situation. You think this is Roman's first Rumble since 2020, a la since Edge returned, right, at that very Rumble. And Edge has been in 4 Rumbles since, 4 WrestleManias since Edge, and he's been with AEW for over a year as well. So that just shows you how long it's been when you really think about it, which is crazy. Man, that Sami Zayn did not help him. A lot of people thought that Sami was actually going to turn on Cody tonight, or at least maybe tease going full-blown heel on behalf of KO. But we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. We could find out as early as Monday Night Raw this week what's going to happen with Sami Zayn going forward. When Sami walked towards Cody, I was like, heel turn. Yeah. That was Cody Rhodes turn back into Star. Yeah, I don't think Cody's going to be going back to Stardust anytime, Cal. I think that ship has long sailed. So let's talk about, the fourth and final match, right? Let's talk about the men's Royal Rumble. There's plenty to talk about. So can John Cena, obviously we know the outcome, but going into it, could John Cena tie Stone Cold and become the only two to have 3 Royal Rumble victories? I don't know. 300 days, by the way, guys, that Cody Rhodes has been champion going into the Rumble, which I thought was really cool as well, at Lucas Oil Stadium. Good show, great crowd. They said, over 70,000 people? 70,000 people were in attendance. I thought that was awesome as well. Big E, Joe Tessitore, they were on prior to this match. There's still a little part of me that was hoping that Big E was, they're showing him right before the Rumble to then maybe see Big E somehow miraculously be cleared by the time the Rumble started and see him hop out of that suit into a singlet. And obviously that was very optimistic of me and wishful thinking, but would have been nice to see Big E in the Rumble. But hopefully one day, man. It made a lot of sense that we didn't see Big E in this Rumble, because if Big E was going to be in this Rumble and be cleared, you would have to have Kofi or Xavier or both of them in there so that he would then be able to eliminate them, especially after turning on him 2 months ago on Monday Night Raw, I believe it was, on the 10-year anniversary, the New Day nonetheless. So how about that? So as far as this Rumble went, I'm going to go 1 through 30, and then we'll wrap things up in conclusion as far as some notes here. Do you think we not see Roman for a while, asks Rachel. Well, I don't know how long a while could be. Maybe a week, maybe or 2, but I would be led to assume that Roman's going to be in the Elimination Chambers, so I don't know. I really don't know what we're going to expect with that. Nas, what's up, man? Biggest upset history, in my opinion. Yeah, this was a big shocker with main event Jey Uso. Like, I don't care if you guys are the biggest main event Jey Uso fans. You cannot say that this was not a surprising outcome, especially that it came down to the final 2 of being him and John Cena. And this is John Cena's final Royal Rumble match ever, his 2025 farewell tour, trying to get to number 17 and surpass Ric Flair's record. There's a lot of things on the line and at stake here. And for main event Jey Uso to do it, it's not even like it was somebody already established in the big time, like a Roman, like a Seth, like maybe a Punk, maybe a Drew. Very shocking, very surprising. And honestly, it's not somebody I had winning this or even making it to the top 3 or 4, but good for main event Jey Uso. At this standpoint, I do hope he goes on and wins the world championship. We just spoke days ago, and we've been speaking weeks and months since he became IC champion. Could we ever see main event Jey Uso as a world champion? I said never say never, but I don't see it. But now, it looks clear as day. After the Rumble, I got my 2020 vision, and the lens is clear, and it looks like that's where he's headed. And I'm not opposed to it, if that's where we're headed. Good for him. Put the rocket pack on him. They trust him. He's over. He's coming down the aisle twice in the last month with some of the most famous rappers in all of the industry today, like them or not. Travis Scott. Who else was it? Was it Quavo the other day? Or the other member? I forget, but either or. It's been good. It's been good to see him get that opportunity. So I loved how this men's Royal Rumble started off. Rey Mysterio and Penta. Awesome. Penta's had a phenomenal month as well. Debuting just 3 weeks ago, getting a win over Chad Gable. He won the very next week as well, 2-0 on Monday Night Raw. And what better way for Rey and Penta to start off this match? It was great. We saw Chad Gable come out after that. Carmelo Hayes, 2 baby faces versus 2 heels. Santos Escobar in the mix at 5. Otis at 6, tying into Chad Gable. Braun Breaker, the IC champion, at 7. Tozawa was supposed to come out at 8. He was then attacked by Carmelo Hayes, who was just eliminated. I believe he was the first one eliminated, by the way, in this matchup. That being Carmelo Hayes by Braun Breaker. And that was very abrupt. Braun got in the ring and eliminated Carmelo Hayes before he could say boo, which was surprising to me. Now the very famous streamer IShowSpeed made his way in, replacing Tozawa at 8. Triple H, they showed in gorilla position. He said, get out there. We need somebody at 8. So, say what you want about this. I'm not big on wasting spots for people that aren't full-time wrestlers. Just like, what was it, Pat McAfee last year went in and out. I think he eliminated himself, not wanting to go up against Braun Breaker or whatever. I get it. And then IShowSpeed. But look, it's all about publicity. It is a business. I do get that. Just like having Pat McAfee in the Rumble technically last year was huge for them. The clicks, the hits on social media and stuff. Same with IShowSpeed, I'm sure. I'm sure they're getting tons of clicks, impressions and stuff, doing numbers just for him being in there for a minute as well. He was able to help eliminate somebody in that match, maybe Otis or something like that. Braun Breaker would then later spear him, make quick work of him. Sheamus, the Celtic Warrior, at 9. Jimmy Uso, Big Jim at 10. Andrade at 11. Jacob Fatu at 12. This is where things got ugly quick. The Samoan Werewolf came in at 12. Wrecked House. Loved seeing Jacob and Braun having a stare off. Later in the match, we'll talk about Roman and Jacob Fatu having a stare down as well. Love from India. Appreciate you, my friend. Worst Rumble in history. Wow, really? I thought it was a top 5 Rumble. Now, I could see why you would say it's not a good Rumble if one of your favorites didn't win, and I get that. But, by the way, guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow me here. Again, you can follow me on IG, Instagram, TikTok as well. Same handle, at Turnbuckle Topics. Just look for the logo, but subscribe here. Hit the thumbs up button while you're in here, guys, whether you're rocking with me for the next half hour or you got to run right now. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate it. So going forward here, we went through the first 12 or so. Ludwig Kaiser, he was, again, talk about blink of an eye. Ludwig Kaiser didn't even really enter the match. He was eliminated instantaneously. The Miz was at 14. And then we saw the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Joe Hendry, make his way in. That was cool to see Joe Hendry. Good for him. Sheamus even went on to tell Jacob Fatu a few minutes later, I was really enjoying this, sitting back and enjoying the whole Joe Hendry bit until Jacob Fatu attacked him. So Sheamus didn't care for that. The OTC, Roman Reigns, again, very weird seeing him in the Royal Rumble. Usually he has a title over his shoulder, around his waist, maybe both. Roman Reigns in his first Royal Rumble appearance since 2020, right? Just before COVID hit, January 26, 2020. Again, that was the return of Edge and all that good stuff. Drew McIntyre, Scottish Warrior, Scottish Psychopath, whatever you want to call him. 17. Finn Balor was back at 18. I was a little surprised to see him. The United States Champion, Shinsuke Nakamura at 19. Main event, Jey Uso at 20. Now, there was so much star power in this Rumble that came before Jey Uso that was certainly coming after him, especially when you're talking numbers 23, 24, and 25. Cena, Punk, Rollins, they had them come back to back to back, which was, I've never seen anything like it, really. That was amazing. So, needless to say, it was easy to overlook Jey Uso tonight. It wasn't about him being underrated, in my opinion. It's just that there was that much more star power, that were multi-time world champions and so on. So I don't know. We'll elaborate on that in a minute. Let's see here. Let me try to get to the comments in a little bit. Navarro, how we doing, my friend? How do I feel about John losing? As nice as it would have been to see Cena win, and I had Punk winning this, just letting you guys know that. As nice as it would have been to see Cena win this and become a three-time Rumble champion winner and tie Austin's record in the Rumble with his 3 wins, I didn't expect Cena to win, and I like the uphill battle for him. Cena's always been kind of an uphill battle type of guy. It would have seemed too easy in a way, and that's why I didn't even think Charlotte was necessarily going to win, and good for her for doing so. Maybe they don't want to have similar paths with Charlotte and Cena having similar stories about rebuilding themselves, right? Cena winning the Chamber makes a lot of sense. I'm not saying he's a shoo-in by any stretch of winning that, but I like it. And I even like Cena losing at the Chamber too, because man, is that really gonna be something? Now he may not get a chance at any title at Mania. And although Cena will definitely have a WrestleMania match, regardless who it's against, if he doesn't win the Chamber, it won't be for a title. Then that begs the question: when or if will Cena ever get a chance at getting a title opportunity before his run is over in December of 2025, when he wraps it up, calls it a full-time career? He said he's putting on the suit, he's putting away the jorts and the ball cap and all that when this year comes to an end. And who knows? John Cena may be Mr. Money in the Bank. Who knows? We'll see. He's got to find his way to a title opportunity. I'm sure he gets that title opportunity at some point this year, regardless when it is. I'm just not sold fully on the fact that he gets to 17. Do I think he will? Probably, but I'm not fully sold on it. I'm curious though. Owns 2 of the biggest upsets in the last 5 years. Yeah, definitely. Jay definitely does. Who's breaking up first, the Judgment Day or DIY? Definitely the Judgment Day, Cal. Definitely Judgment Day. So we're picking back up with the Rumble. Main event, Jey Uso at 20. AJ Styles comes back with his old theme. Remember, he debuted at the Royal Rumble just 9 years ago, right? Coming out this music with the whole blue getup. He came back with the old theme. He only had that other theme for not even a year, since WrestleMania 40 or so against LA Knight. Came back with the whole blue getup. He looks great. Hopefully he remains healthy. That's a big thing. So good seeing him back. 22. We saw Braun Strowman, who I was also surprised to see back. He was taken out by Jacob Fatu a week ago on SmackDown. I did not think we would see Strowman here, much like I didn't think we'd see Finn Balor either. But much to my surprise, and AJ Styles too, didn't see him. We didn't see Dragunov, and certainly not Bronson Reed. We knew Reed wouldn't be in it. I said maybe Dragunov could be back. He's been training in the Performance Center for weeks now, seemingly, and even though he's only 4 or 5 months from his recovery, it's supposed to be in 8-9 month recovery. Hopefully he takes as much time as he needs. We don't need him coming back early just to get back on the road to WrestleMania or trying to get a Mania match and getting injured. We don't need that. We definitely don't need that. 23, here it would be. Ironically enough, he's been with the company in some regard for 23 years. John Cena coming in at 23. Michael Jordan number. He makes his way into the Rumble. He made quick work of a few, right? Did he eliminate, was it Strowman and Finn early on, I believe? I know Roman eliminated like 4 people right away off the rip. And then we had CM Punk at 24, Seth Rollins at 25. Now, we were down to the last 5 or so, right? 5 or 6. We had Dominic Mysterio, Sami Zayn at 27, Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Logan Paul at 30. Now, these were all guys that were pretty much advertised for the Rumble. From Cena, from 23 to 30, everybody was advertised. Again, AJ Styles wasn't at 21, Strowman wasn't at 22. But the vast majority of these guys, which 2/3 of the Rumble was pretty much predetermined going into it. That's the thing I don't like about the Rumble lately, these days, is most of the people that are going in it. The women's, there was a little more element of surprise. With the women's, they only announced like barely half, maybe 12, 13. The men, we had damn near 20 people already announced going into it. So I don't like that. It really makes you just fill in the gaps, and you're like, oh, by then, there's really no real surprises, which there wasn't. And looking at this list again, I don't think we saw... because there's no room for it, really. We didn't see any NXT talent. And rightfully so. There's a lot of main roster talent we didn't get to see either, which namely was tag teams, to be honest, right? I don't care for tag teams in this kind of match because rarely do they ever win. And the only tag team we actually legitimately saw in this match was the Usos. And guess what? They haven't been working tag for like a year and a half. Jimmy and Jay, both doing their solo thing, and there you go. Jey Uso was the one who ended up winning it. So not all hope is lost if you're in a tag team, folks. Maybe you could win the Royal Rumble one day But the way Jey Uso was able to win this against the likes of John Cena in his final Royal Rumble, amazing, amazing. So this was a great show. You know, again, I enjoyed the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu, and the dog in him, Braun Breaker going face to face for a little bit, and this was fun. So I appreciate you guys spending the last hour with me. I'll check out some more comments, questions, and all that good stuff. But guys, again, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on this live. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you can also follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, Twitter as well, or X. Also, all the same handle at Turnbuckle, TOPIX. And I appreciate you guys being with me. And for those that keep up with my daily content on all platforms, I appreciate it. Wiccan says, I'm surprised Cross was in the Rumble. Good point, Wiccan. I did have him in the Rumble. At some point. I feel like Cena just passed the torch to Jay with that hug. Kind of feels like it, right, Rachel? Kind of feels like it. Kind of feels like if you beat John Cena in the Royal Rumble, you better go on and win that World Championship. And to be honest with you, it's not so much now about Jey Uso beating Gunther at Mania because he won the Rumble. It's more so about Jey Uso beating John Cena at John Cena's final Royal Rumble appearance. You better go on and win that title and make him proud and make everybody proud, right? So we'll see what happens. What is the last Royal Rumble match Kevin Owens was in? Yeah, that's a great point, Cal. As far as him competing in a match, not in singles match for gold, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top. Again, he went up against Roman almost every year at the Rumble. It seemed, again, Cody this year. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Think Jay's going to do it? I think so too, Rachel. I think so too. Do you think Josh Alexander is coming to WWE? I hope so. I think it's a better fit for him. Do I think he could have great matches in AEW or even Japan? Sure, but one thing is for certain. I don't think Josh Alexander would get lost in AEW, but I don't think he would get the notice and notoriety that he deserves in AEW because he would be overshadowed by quite a few big names. Whether it's Will Ospreay, whether it's Jay White, whether it's any other star that they're trying to currently build, or, some of the household names that have been with them since day one, like a Moxley, like an Omega. I don't know. Obviously, Alexander could hang with the best of them, but I just don't know if they're going to put him in that same kind of trajectory that he deserves. I think Alexander is better off coming to WWE, but we'll see. Plus, I kind of like the fact of Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander moving over from TNA to WWE within the same month. When you think about it, they've been the face of the company for years, for the men and the women. I remember going to a TNA show in Philadelphia last March, and when the show ended and when the taping was done and they got on the mic, the last two people in the match was Jordan Grace, or in the ring was Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander, which, by the way, I think they competed in a mixed tag team match. It was Jordan Grace, pardon my speech, I'm so exhausted. Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander had just defeated Tasha Steelz and Alex Hammerstone in a mixed tag team match. Jordan Grace said a few words. Josh Alexander said a few words. And I think it would be only right. It would be pretty poetic to see Jordan and Josh make their way to WWE. And plus, they have the TNA crossover relationship still. So the fun thing is that on any given day or night, it's not just NXT TNA, even though a lot of NXT stars are pretty much over there, back and forth. I think once in a while it'll be fun to have main event people. See Moose from TNA, the X Division champ, make his way to Raw or SmackDown. I know he would love that. Maybe Nick Nemeth one day wants to make his way back to Raw or SmackDown. Like Nemeth mentioned, how cool would it be to see John Cena at least once on his farewell tour, make it over to TNA? Whether it's for a title opportunity or not. Maybe him and Joe Hendry, something like that. Maybe that's what's in store for John Cena. If John Cena does not win the Elimination Chamber, I talked about this last week. If Cena does not win the Elimination Chamber, how cool would it be to see Cena go for number 17 for a world title, but although it wouldn't be WWE, Cena versus Hendry at WrestleMania. It'd be a great opportunity for both of them, and I'm pretty sure that Cena would then win that. And he'd get to a 17th world title. Even though it wouldn't be WWE, it would be a TNA world title. So I like that idea too. The partnership still stands, which means if Josh Alexander comes to WWE, he could still make his way to TNA and return when he wants. Jordan Grace could do the same. I like that. That would be cool, right, Rach? I think that would be pretty cool. So, guys, any last-minute comments, concerns, questions? I'm going to stick around for about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to wrap up this live. I'm going to wrap up this live around 12:40. It's now 12:35 right now, my time. I hope everybody enjoyed the Royal Rumble. I know I did, regardless of the outcome. I got the title matches right. I didn't get the men's and women's Rumble winner correct, but you know what? I enjoyed myself. I like the journey they took us on. I like the swerves that we saw. And one thing you can't deny, regardless, if the person you like won or not, um, it was intriguing. It was exciting. So it was a lot of fun for sure. I hope I see my man again this month. Yeah, I think we'll see Roman in the month of February. It's only the 2nd now, Rachel. It's still very early, especially if he's going to be incorporated in Elimination Chamber, whether it's in that match itself or in something separate. So Bubba Ray Dudley, yes, we saw him as well. There's a lot of household names we got to see, Cal. So yeah, it's been good to see Bubba Ray, back on TV. He's always doing his thing with Busted Open Radio with Mark Henry, Dave LaGreca, Tommy Dreamer, and all that good stuff. So he's always doing something in the wrestling world still, whether it's in-ring, refereeing. Remember, Bubba Ray Dudley was a referee at WrestleMania 40, right? Was he the referee for the Final Testament match with against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits? Was that the one he refereed? I know he refereed something there. I was there for that. You're happy CM Punk didn't win. If Cena or Roman couldn't win, glad that Jey Uso won. I hear you, Rach. I hear you. Look, I had no stock. I didn't put any money on CM Punk winning. I just thought it was time for him to win a Rumble, punch his ticket to Mania, and get that title opportunity against somebody, whether it's Cody or Gunther. But doesn't seem to be the case. And now all our sights are set on next month. And will it be Punk again or will it be Cena? A lot of people looked at Punk or Cena. One of the two gotta win it. One of those two 4-letter words have to win the Rumble. And I'll tell you what, whichever one of those two 4-letter words don't win the chamber, we'll be saying a lot of 4-letter words because now they're going to be trying to figure out their way to WrestleMania. And even if they get a match at Mania, it's not going to be for a title if they lose the chamber. So incredibly curious as to what's going to happen here. Let me see here. Got a message here. Let's see. All right. But after Seth stunk, I will root for Punk over him. I hear you. I have beef with Miss J, man. Yeah, you do have beef with Miss J's, man. Yeah, Miss J still in here, or Miss J made her way out? But I appreciate you guys being here with me tonight, guys. Again, I'm going to wrap up in 2 minutes here. Again, if you're not already subscribed here, please hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. And I'm going to look to be back, hopefully Monday night. That's the plan as it stands at this moment in time. Hopefully Monday night, I'll be back to the Monday Night Raw review over on YouTube here. But again, if you haven't, subscribe here. Follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, where I do my daily questions. I know Rachel's happy my daily questions are back. Been a week strong. Let's see if we could keep the momentum rolling, right? And again, if you're on X, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, go ahead and follow me there as well. So appreciate you guys rocking with me here on this now Sunday morning where I'm at, Saturday night. Let's see. Maybe we'll get that mixed tag match at WrestleMania 41. Me and Roman versus Seth and Miss J. Hey, you never know. Maybe SummerSlam, Rachel. Maybe SummerSlam. So it's been good though. It's been good. It was a great Rumble. To me, I'd have to really sit down, analyze. The Rumble's been going on for 38 years, right? Since '88, since Hacksaw won. Personally, I've watched everyone since, one way or another, live or not. I would have to say, this has got to probably be, and I'm not just a prisoner of the moment, this has got to be a top 5, at latest 7, but probably an overall top 5 Royal Rumble to me. As a lot of them mentioned in the post show too, Big E, Rosenberg and stuff, they're talking about 92 or 2001 and so on. Regardless where you rank them, this has got to be in the conversation at least. It was very star-studded, very quality. 4 matches, felt like a 10-match card in the best way possible. You know what I mean? Not that it was drawn out, but that we got enough. We had enough to sink our teeth into. Sometimes I see a 4-match card. Granted, 2 Rumbles are long. They exceed an hour, so that takes up a good chunk of time, 2+ hours. But seeing 4 matches on a card, on a PLE, seems like you want to see 5 or 6. But when the Rumbles are involved, 4 is more than enough. I like this format. Thought it was perfect. So let's see here. I think men's Rumble match of the night. I could see that, Rachel. I could see that. I would have to give, the women's Rumble to me was fantastic. But yes, after seeing what we saw and seeing who ended up winning this match, main event Jey Uso, the way things ended, man, I got to give it. To the men's Rumble for sure. So, been a fan of KO ever since he came to the main roster. Nice. KO's been, the main roster for 10 years. So, guys, I appreciate you being here. I got to make my way out now. Again, subscribe here. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Yes, Eat Mania. Take care, guys.